students, my name is Niyati Said and thanks for watching Edipedia Word videos. My topic for the presentation is 10th section of the chapter Plant Growth and Inhibitor. In this section of the video, we will continue to discuss about plant growth inhibitors. So by now we have studied about plant growth regulators such as auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin and plant growth inhibitors such as ethylene. So we will continue to discuss about plant growth inhibitor, that is abscisic acid. Abscisic acid, as mentioned earlier, was discovered for its role in regulating abscission. That's why its name is abscisic acid. It also plays a role in dormancy. But like other plant growth regulators, it also has other wide-ranging effect on plant growth and development. It acts as a general plant growth inhibitor and inhibitor of plant metabolism. That's why its name is abscisic acid, students, because it acts as a plant growth inhibitor and an inhibitor of plant metabolism. So abscisic acid, that it is also called as ABA. AB for abscisic and A for acid. That's why it is called as ABA. Okay. So ABA, it inhibits seed germination. And it is also called as stress hormone because the production of hormone is stimulated by drought, waterlogging and other adverse or stressful environmental conditions. Okay, so ABA, it is often referred as inhibitory rather than stimulatory hormone. It is involved in the closure of stomata, bud and seed dormancy and is known to inhibit other hormonal actions. Okay, and this is the chemical formula of abscisic acid. Students, please note that abscisic acid is also known as dormin. Dormin denotes dormancy, okay, as it induces dormancy in buds, underground stem and seeds, students. Okay, who discovered abscisic acid? F.T. Endicott was the name of the scientist. Along with his associates, he discovered abscisic acid in early 1960s in the process of studying abscission in cotton. It was also being studied by other plant physiologists at the same time for its property of controlling abscission of flowers and in the initiation of dormancy of wood production. Okay, the hormone, which we call it as abscisic acid, was first isolated by Endicott. Endicott was the name of the scientist. Along with his associates, he discovered abscisic acid in early 1960s. Okay, to be more precise, in 1963 from cotton balls. Okay, or you can say he discovered in the process of studying abscission in cotton, commercially important for mechanizing of cotton picking. Okay, it is produced in many parts of the plant, but more abundantly inside the chloroplast of green cells it is found. So it is found in leaves where it is partially synthesized. It is also found in the stem, it is also found in green fruits, and its biosynthesis is related to the process of carotenoid production. It is generally associated with negative feedback interaction or stress related environmental signals like drought, like waterlogging, freezing temperature and environmental pollutants. Okay, so the hormone is formed from mevalonic acid or xanthophyll. So a question may come, from which abscisic acid is formed? See, abscisic acid is phytohormone. So a question may come, from which abscisic acid, which is a phytohormone, is formed from? So The answer is mevalonic acid or xanthophyll. Okay. Abscisic acid, it is transported to all parts of the plant through diffusion as well as transport channels. And what are transport channels? Phloem and xylem. Phloem is a conductive tissue which helps in conduction of food material from leaves to the other parts of the plant. And xylem is also a conducting tissue which helps in transportation of mineral, ions and water from roots to the other upper part of the plant body. Okay. So during mid 1960s, to be more precise, in 1963, it was reported three kind of inhibitors: inhibitor B, abscessin 2 and dormin. They were chemically identical and now known as abscisic acid. Okay. Abscisic acid is the derivatives of carotenoids. It regulates abscission and dormancy. Say students, humans, they have glands that secrete hormones at different times to stimulate body processes such as growth, development and breaking down of sugar. Likewise, plants also have hormones that stimulate processes that are necessary for them to live. Abscisic acid is a plant hormone. So don't get confused that it is a acid. No, it is acid, but at the same time it is a phytohormone too. Abscisic acid is a plant hormone which is involved in many developmental plant processes such as dormancy, environmental stress response. Abscisic acid is produced in the root of the plant as well as terminal bud at the top of the plant. Okay. So during mid 1960s, to be more precise in 1963, it was reported three kinds of inhibitors, which are those: inhibitor B, abscessin 2 and dormin. They were chemically identical and now known as abscisic acid. Now, abscisic acids, they are the derivatives of carotenoids. Please note that. And it regulates abscission and dormancy. Now, let's see its function in detail. Abscisic acid is involved in several plant functions. Plants, they have openings on the bottom sides of their leaves known as stomata. This is stomata. Okay. This is stomata in the open condition and this is the stomata in closed condition. So stomata, they take in carbon dioxide and regulate water content. Abscisic acid has been found to function in the closing of these stomata during times when plant does not require as much carbon dioxide or during times of drought, when plant cannot afford to lose much water through transpiration. Okay. So this is the stomata in open condition and this is the stomata in closed condition, and these two kidney shaped cells are guard cells. They are swollen because of the water imbibition into it. And this is chloroplast, this is the cell wall of the guard cells, and this is the stoma which is in the open condition. Okay. And this is the inner cell wall. This is the nucleus which is represented by purple color, and this is the guard cells which are in the shrunken position. That means it has lost water and it has now been closed. So stomata take in carbon dioxide and regulate water content. Abscisic acid has been found to function in the closing of these stomata during times when the plant does not require as much carbon dioxide or during times of drought, when plants cannot afford to lose much water through transpiration. Okay, so it acts as an inhibitor of plant growth and metabolism. It inhibits seed germination. It stimulates closure of stomata in the epidermis, as I just taught you, and it increases the tolerance of plants to various kinds of stresses. Therefore, it is also called stress hormone because it increases the tolerance of plant to various kind of stresses such as drought, waterlogging. These are the environmental stresses, and abscisic acid, that is ABA, it increases the tolerance of plant to thrive in such kind of stressful condition. That's why it is also called as stress hormone. So a question may ask, which phytohormone is called as stress hormone? So answer is abscisic acid, students. Okay, and please note, students, that main and the crucial function of abscisic acid is to inhibit seed germination. Abscisic acid has been found to stop a seed from immediately germinating once it has been placed in the soil. It actually causes seed to enter a period of dormancy. See, this is dormant, which is lying as it is inside the ground. Actually, this is of a great benefit to plants because most seeds are formed at the end of the growing season when condition would not be favorable for a new plant to sprout. So the abscisic acid, it causes seed to wait until the time when conditions are more favorable to grow. This ensures greater success in plants' ability to grow and reproduce successfully. Okay, I hope it is clear to you now. And another function is of abscisic acid is that it has an important role in seed development, maturation, and dormancy. Seed dormancy by ABA, that is abscisic acid, it helps to withstand desiccation. Desiccation means being flaccid because of the water removal and other factors unfavorable for growth. I just taught you that actually abscisic acid, it causes seeds to enter a period of dormancy, right? So this is of great benefit to the plants because most seeds are formed at the end of the growing season, right? When conditions would not be favorable for a new plant to sprout out. So what does abscisic acid do? Abscisic acid, it causes seed to wait until the time when conditions are more favorable to grow. This ensures greater success in plant ability to grow and reproduce successfully. Okay, I hope these 5 functions are clear to you now. Let's see function of abscisic acid in detail. As I just taught you that abscisic acid is involved in several plant functions. Plants, they have openings on the bottom sides of their leaf known as stomata. Stomata, they take in carbon dioxide and they regulate water content. And abscisic acid has been found to function in the closing of these stomata during times when plant does not require as much carbon dioxide or during time of drought, when plant cannot afford to lose much water to transpiration. Okay, so that was about the closure of the stomata, which I have already taught you. Now let's see function of abscisic acid, main function, that is bud dormancy. Abscisic acid, that is ABA, it induces dormancy of bud towards the approach of winter. That means when winter season approaches, then abscisic acid, what it does, it induces dormancy of bud and waits for the favorable season to come. So bud dormancy, this is influenced by cytokinin and auxin-induced synthesis of ethylene, and it is induced by abscisic acid. So don't get confused. Then comes seed dormancy. Abscisic acid, it delays seed germination in many plants. It has some effect on induction and maintenance of dormancy in general. So it is mainly caused by abscisic acid. Dormancy, it allows seed to tolerate desiccation. Desiccation means being flaccid when water moves out from the cell. Okay, so dormancy, it allows seed to tolerate desiccation and extremes of the temperature better. And the buds as well as seeds, they sprout only when abscisic acid is overcome by gibberellins. I have already taught you about the gibberellin in my previous section of the presentation. That is 7th section of this chapter, that is plant growth and development. So for better understanding, you can refer to that presentation. Because of its action in inducing dormancy, abscisic acid or ABA is also named as dormant. Okay. And please note that abscisic acid, it induces seeds to synthesize storage protein. It inhibits the effect of gibberellin on stimulating de novo synthesis of amylase. De novo means, de novo synthesis means fresh synthesis of amylase. Abscisic acid, it impact decreases when seeds germinate. In desert plants, ABA found in outer layer of the seed must be washed away by rain in order for seed to germinate. So keep this in mind. I repeat, in desert plants, what happens in desert plants? In desert plants, this abscisic acid, okay, this abscisic acid, it is found in the outer layer of the seeds that must be washed away by rain in order for the seed to germinate. Okay. Let's see third function of it, stoppage of cambium activity. Cambium is a layer between phloem and xylem. So formation of abscisic acid, it stops mitosis. Mitosis means cell division through asexual reproduction. Okay, so formation of abscisic acid, it stops mitosis in vascular cambium towards the approach of winter. That's why it just makes the seed or bud dormant, because mitosis will not take place. Then why will it approach, or why will it germinate? Okay, so it just stops the mitosis that takes place in vascular cambium towards the approach of winter. That's the way it causes abscission. Abscisic acid, it promotes abscission of flower and fruit. Okay, abscisic acid means abscission. So of course it promotes abscission of flower and fruit. Then comes leaf senescence. Senescence means death of the tissue. And here in this case, leaf senescence means death of leaf tissue. Its excessive presence, it stops protein and RNA synthesis in leaves and hence stimulates their senescence. Senescence means leaf fall, which is actually promoted by ethylene. Okay. Now, sixth function of abscisic acid is transpiration. During desiccation and other stresses, abscisic acid is rapidly synthesized. The inhibitor, it causes closure of stomata and hence prevents transpiration. Okay, that's why it prevents water removal from the plant body, because during stress condition, abscisic acid is rapidly synthesized, and this inhibitor, it causes closure of the stomata and hence water will not be removed from the plant body, because through stomata only water gets out of the plant body by the process known as transpiration. So of course it prevents transpiration during stressful condition, students. Then comes resistance. Abscisic acid, it increases resistance of plant to cold and other types of stresses. It is therefore also known as stress hormone. Okay, because it fights with the stresses. It is rapidly synthesized in the plant body when it when a plant body experiences any kind of environmental stress. So abscisic acid, it increases resistance of plant to cold and other type of stresses. It is therefore known as stress hormone. Then comes starch hydrolysis. Abscisic acid, it inhibits gibberellin mediated amylase formation during germination of cereal grain. I have already taught you that abscisic acid, it delays seed germination in many plants, right? It has some effect on induction and maintenance of dormancy in general. There are 2 points that proves it. First, it induces seed to synthesize storage protein. Then second, it inhibits the effect of gibberellin on stimulating fresh synthesis of amylase, right? So this is cleared by the second point, that it abscisic acid, it inhibits the effect of gibberellin mediated amylase formation during germination of cereal grains. That means abscisic acid, it impact decreases when seed germinate, right? In desert plants, ABA, that is abscisic acid, is found in outer layer of the seed that must be washed away by rain in order for the seed to germinate. So this way starch hydrolysis takes place. That means when abscisic acid, it inhibits gibberellin mediated amylase formation during germination of cereal grains. Now another function is flowering. In small quantities, abscisic acid is known to promote flowering in some short day plants. Short day plant examples are strawberry, blackcurrant. I'll explain what short day plants are in detail, but in my next section of the presentations. Okay. Then another crucial function of abscisic acid is parthenocopy. What is that? Parthenocopy is producing seedless plants, and fruits such as fruits which are seedless, they are called as parthenocarpic fruit. So abscisic acid, they have been found to induce parthenocarpic development in rose. Okay, I hope all the 10 functions are clear to you now. Apart from these functions, abscisic acid, it inhibits shoot growth also, but will not have as much effect on roots. I repeat, abscisic acid inhibits shoot growth but will not have much effect on roots or may even promote growth of roots. It inhibits cell division in the vascular cambium. I've already taught you about that. Okay. Now another function is rooting. Rooting of a stem cutting is promoted in some cases by abscisic acid. That means stem cutting means if you keep stem cutting uh, in any kind of solution, then in any kind of solution which has abscisic acid in it, then it promotes rooting in it, rooting from the stem cutting. Okay, for example, it is seen in bean, ivy and poinsettia, whose botanical name is Euphorbia pulcherrima. Okay, another function is controlled growth. It is antagonist to gibberellin. Students, a question may ask, which two hormones are antagonist to each other? So abscisic acid and gibberellins are antagonists to each other. They are opposites. They counteract the effect of other growth promoting hormones such as auxin and cytokine, and therefore it keeps their activity under check. By controlling growth, abscisic acid, it plays an important role in seed development and seed maturation. Normally, it inhibits seed germination, growth of excised embryo, and growth of duckweed and other plants. Okay. Now let's see uses of abscisic acid. Anti-transparent. I've already taught you that abscisic acid, it helps in the closure of stomata. So from stomata only transpiration takes place. That means transpiration means water removal from the plant body, and it takes place with the help of stomata. Okay, so abscisic acid, it acts as anti-transparent. That's why that's the main usage of abscisic acid. Okay, see, large amount of abscisic acid in leaves. Okay, in leaves, it causes stomata to close, which helps the plant conserve water during drought. Okay, reactions can be instigated within a minute of spraying. Commercially, it is used in fields where drought threatens. Okay, see it. This is a plant potty which takes water from the root here. Many root hairs helps in more absorption of water. So water is absorbed from here, from the underground, and it reaches with the help of xylem to the upper part of the plant body through the suction pressure, and water is lost by transpiration from stomata, which is present in the leaf, students. So application of minute quantity of abscisic acid to leaves, they shall reduce transpiration to great extent through partial closure of stomata. So it conserves water and it reduces requirement of irrigation again and again. So this is the commercial usage of abscisic acid, that it acts as anti-transparent. Let's see another usage of abscisic acid, and that is flowering. It is useful in introducing flowering in some short day plants which are kept under unfavorable photoperiods. I'll explain what short day and long day plants are, but in my next section of the presentation. But for the time being, just know that abscisic acid is used in flowering. It is useful in introducing flowering in some short day plants which are kept under unfavorable photoperiods. Okay. The third is rooting. Use of abscisic acid, it promotes rooting in many stem cuttings. I have already taught you that this is stem cutting. If you put this stem cutting in any kind of the solution which has abscisic acid in it, then it will promote rooting. Okay, see, this is the root which has emerged from the stem cutting. Okay, so commercial usage of abscisic acid is that it promotes rooting, and that you can do it by keeping stem cutting in a solution which has abscisic acid in it. Okay, now dormancy. This is another usage of abscisic acid. Abscisic acid can be used in prolonging dormancy of bud, storage organ, and seeds. Bud dormancy, if you see, then bud dormancy, it is induced by abscisic acid, but it is influenced by cytokinin and auxin induced synthesis of ethylene. And if we talk about seed dormancy, then abscisic acid, it delays seed germination in many plants. It has some effect on induction and maintenance of dormancy in general. First, that it induces seed to synthesize storage protein, and second, it inhibits the synthesis or it inhibits the effect of gibberellin on stimulating fresh synthesis of amylase. So what does abscisic acid do? It impact decreases when seed germinate. Okay, so of course abscisic acid can be used in prolonging dormancy of bud, storage organs, and seed, students. Okay, why does it is found to stop a seed from immediately germinating, students? Abscisic acid, it is found that it stops a seed from immediately germinating when it has been placed in the soil, Actually, why it does so? It actually causes the seed to enter a period of dormancy. Okay, and student, it is of great benefit to the plants because most of the seeds are formed at the end of growing season when conditions would not be favorable for new plant to sprout out. So the abscisic acid, it causes the seed to wait until the time where conditions are more favorable to grow, because this will ensure greater success in plants ability to grow and reproduce successfully. Okay, so these are the commercial applications of abscisic acid, and this was all about abscisic acid, which is last phytohormone. In my next section of the presentation, we will discuss about photoperiodism and interactions of plant growth regulators. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching Edipedia Word videos. Thank you.